That's right, losers. I'm bringing back the countdown type video. Top 10 videos used to dominate YouTube. Nowadays, countdown videos have been replaced with tier list videos, but pretty soon, top 10 videos will be the new tier list videos. Just you wait. As much as I would love to meticulously explain what Castle Crashers is, I'd rather just jump right in. We'll start with the top 5 worst levels just to get them out of the way. Let's go over some ground rules first of all. I'm not including levels that are just a single boss fight. This includes the last level in the game since it's just a boss rush. A really good boss rush, but I don't feel like these kinds of levels are what people think of when they think Castle Crasher level. You know what I'm saying? So that means the arenas are also off limits, as much as I would like to put the stupid Eskimo arena in the worst levels. And obviously this includes things like shops and the blacksmith. So what makes a Castle Crashers level bad? For me, it's a lack of identifiable features. As fun as the combat in Castle Crashers is, if the level has nothing to break up the normal fights, then the game can quickly become monotonous and dull. Let's take a look at number 5.
I'm just chilling in the cave.
I fucking hate the cave.
I'm putting this one at 5 just because of how short it is. This is right after the bear-themed level, which is a pretty good level, all things considered. So it kind of sucks that right after is one of the lamest this game has to offer. First of all, Landfall, banger. Literally the best song in the game. So it definitely sucks that this song is relinquished to awful cave levels. The only enemies you fight are these slime things. You can't juggle them, they barely even attack, and worst of all, they're black. Or gray, I guess. Usually slimes in video games are like red or green. You know, a fun color. Not gray. At the end there's the bat boss. It's super easy and not really that interesting. You get the bat pet at the end, which is one of the best pets in the game, so that's a plus. But the level after this is one that I really like. So this cave level seriously feels like a pothole in what would be a pretty smooth road. And then at the end, all these guys show up out of nowhere to take all your gold. Bro, you didn't even fight any of the slimes or the bears. And they just walk in after the boss is killed like they were part of the team the whole time. Also, who the bump is Pipistrello? Is that the bat? Why is he called that? That sounds like a character in You Are Mine. Like this video if you want me to review You Are Mine. Alright, number 4 is Snow World. This one really is just an obnoxiously long stretch of enemies until you get to the Ice Fortress, which I think could have been done a little better too. But this level is just way too long, and I honestly don't have much more to say. The Snowy Mountains as an environment isn't terribly interesting. This one made it to the list just for being the least exciting in the game. Yeah, I really just said that, so what? This is the last level before getting to the end of the game, so it's especially disappointing that this wasn't harder. Yeah, there's a lot of enemies, but unlike Full Moon, the level right before this one, they can be juggled extremely easily. So it doesn't really even matter. The song used in this one is Winter Bliss, and it totally sucks. Just kidding, it's a banger. And it's unique to this level, so that's always a plus. But I just think this level is lacking in a lot of areas. Do I even need to explain this one? Instead of walking around freely, you're confined to swimming down a river. And since you're a knight wearing a 100-pound suit of armor, you move at about 5 miles per fiscal year. But there are things you can stand on that let you move around more quickly, which is nice, but as soon as you get knocked off, it's like trying to turn left on a busy street. I don't know if that comparison makes any sense, it's just annoying, okay? And even when you are on something, the movement is so slippery, it kind of sucks either way. My issue with this level is that these giant fish enemies aren't really that fun to fight, and the catfish boss at the end is also brain dead easy. I think for a level that takes place in a river, this concept was executed as well as it could be. I just don't like this concept very much. This seems like it could have been a really cool level, and there are aspects of this level that I like. The song used is one of my favorites in the whole game. This is the level that gives you the shovel, which is exciting if you didn't already have the shovel, but upon subsequent playthroughs, you'll find that starting a new game will automatically give you the shovel. So this novelty is really exclusive to the first time you get to this level. I like the fact that aliens are mixed with the desert theme. It makes a pretty tired cliche into something a little more unique, but the aliens aren't even that cool. There's this alien ship boss, and it's probably the boss with the least amount of health compared to the power level of the player in the entire game. Its health bar drains at such a comical rate. I honestly don't even know why it wasn't just a normal enemy. The beetle guys probably have more health than these stupid ships. Speaking of which, these beetle enemies are pretty unengaging to fight. You can't juggle them since they're like beefy enemies pretty much. And when they burrow into the sand, you basically just have to wait around until they pop back out. Not to mention, when they hit you while they're doing this burrow attack, they'll hit you like a million times if you're already on the ground, which I'm pretty sure wasn't intentional. These guys with the chains covering their faces can't be juggled either, which is always really awesome. The scorpions don't really add much either, despite there being at least 100 million of them on the screen at once. I think a dedicated scorpion enemy that didn't die instantly would be more interesting. And these sandworm things that come out of the sinking pits are also not really that fun to fight. They don't move, so you essentially just evade when they shoot their acid spit at you, and that's it. It would be way cooler if they weren't confined to a single spot and actually popped out of the ground in different places, forcing you to chase after them. Kind of like how the corn boss works. This whole level is really just not stimulating. The most enjoyment I can get is from trying to see how long I can keep a scorpion in the air for. This level really just had a lot of potential but lost it in execution. And number 1 is Cyclops' Fortress. This is the level you do right before Lava World, which, spoilers, is number 1 on the best levels list. This one is really boring even to talk about, because there really is nothing here. You fight a bunch of these Conehead Knights in a pretty boring hallway until you get to the Cyclops boss, which honestly isn't all that impressive either. After about 2 waves of enemies, the monotony of this level hits hard. It wouldn't be that bad if it wasn't for the fact that you can't juggle the Coneheads. Well, you can, but it's just really hard. There's one demon at the end which feels like such a breath of fresh air from fighting these stupid enemies that drop like a rock as soon as they're off the ground. There's not even a change in scenery throughout this level. It's literally just this corridor. What, am I supposed to admire the interior design? This is one of the only actual castles you crash in this game. And the only part of this lava castle we get to see is this one hallway that's occasionally broken up by small windows that peer into a much more interesting location. This level uses the song Vein Star, which is easily one of the best tracks in the game, and I honestly think that's a detriment to this level. Vein Star is used right after this level too in Lava World. It would have made Vein Star a much more special song since it would have been reserved for this really cool level, but instead the best level in the game has to share its music with the worst level in the game. This is one of the only levels with a princess in it, but that doesn't really matter. Every time I play through Castle Crashers, this is the level that I'm least excited to play, by far. Alright, with the bad out of the way, let's talk about some bangers. What I'm looking for in a good Castle Crashers level is a lot of variety, interesting gimmicks if there are any, the aesthetics of the level, and the music choice certainly doesn't hurt. You know, things that make Castle Crashers fun to play in the first place. Alright, number 5 is Alien Ship. This one is very different from the other levels, which definitely helps it. It's sandwiched between the 2 desert levels, which honestly makes it stand out even more. The part where you fight 1 billion of these alien hominids is super fun, since they literally have only 1 health point, and then after that you have to go through the ship before it explodes. It's a really unique level, even forgetting the aesthetics. Although it obviously doesn't fit the medieval/fantasy setting that's been consistent for the whole game, I think that adds to the wackiness of Castle Crashers. It helps illustrate the idea that this game was made with literally every idea Tom and Dan could come up with. My only problem is that it's too short. We don't even see much of this huge mothership. We don't even get to fight this big alien guy. I would have liked to have seen more of the ship, fight other alien or robot themed enemies, but this is all we got. Number 4 is Thieves' Forest. This one is so classic for me. It's one of the first levels in the game, and it is an amazing step up from the previous levels. This is the level that tells the player that this game isn't messing around anymore. For a level that takes place in a generic forest, the environment changes quite a bit, which is super cool. And the boss at the end I think is really fun. The music for this level is called Space Pirates. Despite the name, this song fits so well with this forest setting. It's so fire, you guys. And the best part, this is the only time we hear this track. It makes it feel like a level has its own identity when it has a unique track, especially when it deserves it. I like how throughout the level, this gigantic monster is hinted at until finally being revealed at the end. The mill section is so sick. It's technically its own separate level, but it connects really fluidly to this level, so I don't care. It has another unique music track that slaps inconceivably hard. This is also the level that made me give up on Insane Mode, so that's cool, I guess. Number 3 is Full Moon. I don't know if this is a controversial opinion to have or something, but I love Full Moon. I think it's a good amount of challenge. It basically just throws you into this multi-storied hill with like a billion enemies at you. It's the one time when I'll excuse the enemies being hard to juggle because it actually adds to the challenge instead of just making the level more unengaging. This level is scored to Dark Skies. I freaking love Dark Skies, dude. These really low and foreboding orchestral chords create such an instantaneous mood. Coupled with the eerie setting and overall difficulty, the music makes this level have such a distinct vibe to it. Out of the several levels with Dark Skies as its music track, this is the one that I think fits the song the best. I don't know, I'm always excited to do this level for some reason. I like these knights you fight. You don't see them anywhere else in the game, so that adds a lot of value to me. And I think it's just a cool level. You get to see the pooping deer again, which is always epic. Number 2 is Industrial Castle. This one is also scored by Dark Skies, but I honestly prefer it in Full Moon. I think the environment fits that song a little bit more, but it still fits super well here. Dark Skies is just so goated, bro. Anyway, this level totally rocks. It's probably the most varied when it comes to gimmicks and enemy encounters. It starts off pretty normal. I like multiple enemy types. That definitely boosts these fights for me. And these enemies are super cool, on top of being unique to this level. Then you get to these like death trap sections, which I find pretty fun to go through. You really don't see a lot of stuff like this in the other levels, so I like these parts a lot. They're not really that hard, and they don't last that long, so it's the perfect intermediate challenge between the normal fights. Then you fight a bunch of guys on this elevator, which I think is super cool too. You fight this beefy green knight, which you never see anywhere else either. Dang, that's 3 enemies completely unique to this level. And then the boss at the end is also super unique and fun. Industrial Castle goes hard, bro. What could possibly beat it? I love Lava World, you guys. Even playing as the Orange Knight, I love it. Let me break this down for the uninitiated.
We're gonna have to break it down.
There are 2 bosses in this level. Both are pretty cool. They're honestly not that great, but I still like them. You get to see the Necromancer, love that guy. There are environmental hazards, which are more rare than I would have guessed. This level has depth to it, you know what I mean? And not intellectual depth, but just this level feels so much more 3-dimensional than most others. We're going up and down and to the left? This is revolutionary. Some more enemy variety would have been nice apart from the demons. I love the demons. They're my favorite enemy design in the whole game, but something unique to this level would have elevated it even higher. I'm putting this one above the last just because this, to me, feels more like Castle Crashers for some reason. Even though in Industrial Castle you are literally crashing a castle. But Lava World still feels right to be number 1 for me. Other levels I would have considered in the top 5 are Pirate Ship, Marsh, and Tall Grass Fields. On the bottom there's Flooded Temple, Sandcastle Roof, and Barbarian War, in all honesty. Barbarian War isn't a bad level, but for someone who's played it so many times, it's not that interesting. Let me know what you would put on this list, and I'm thinking of making a top 5 best and worst bosses, so let me know if you want to see that. And subscribe or die.
Delph Steve with the beat by Corn and Beans, repping the Behemoth and Newgrounds team. No average clown could create this sound. Get ready now, listen.
Yo, shout out Family Guy 10 for posting the whole soundtrack on YouTube, by the way.